Hello my YouTube lovelies, and welcome to a new segment of my YouTube channel called Paleo Cooking with Carrie. And basically the inspiration behind this is the following. See this body? It needs to get slimmer. I need a waist and I need to not have my arms be so big. So basically what I'm just going to do is I'm going to show you some of the paleo recipes that I'm going to use to lose weight. Paleo, basically, it's a form of a low-carb diet with a basis in meats and vegetables and other things that hypothetically human beings ate back before the advent of farming. So the goal is basically to have a diet that's mainly meat, vegetables, and certain low glycemic index fruits. And those will keep your blood sugar down and hypothetically help you lose weight. This is the exact diet that helped me go from being 270 pounds down to 220, and currently I'm down to 215. I've had a bit of a problem sticking to this diet because I was commuting back and forth to work 2 hours every day, and the lure of Taco Bell constantly was wrenching me. Yeah, no, die Taco Bell. So, today I'm going to show you one of the staples of my diet, and that is your basic chicken soup, except in my case I kind of it's a super easy recipe. It's like one of the easiest things to make. There's maybe like 20 minutes of active prep, and the rest is just sitting around watching it boil. So yeah, let's start with that, my chicken soup. So as you can see, on my cutting board here, I have cut up 2 large sweet onions. And as my cooking implements here, I have a lovely 8-quart stock pot with lid. Non-stick because I'm lazy, I don't like cleaning. And so I'm going to dump these onions into the pot. And most of them are going to fall on the floor because I'm trying to record with one hand and scoop with the other. Oh goodness. Okay, I'm going to clean that up, but whatever. I'll through the power of editing. And there we go. All the onions are now in the pot. And it totally started that way. I totally did not just spend 5 minutes cleaning onion bits off the floor. No, of course I didn't. Why do you ask? Okay, next step. Empty cutting board. I am going to chop 4 organic carrots, diced up. And yes, they just appeared on my cutting board that way. I didn't do anything because, you know, I'm totally psychic. It's like I have ESPN or something. Whatever. 6 brownie points to anyone who gets that reference. And through the magic of not TV, they magically appeared in the stock pot too. Yay! And this is totally by magic. I didn't know how it happened. It's totally not because I live on my own and I cannot afford a camera guy. Yep, totally. Anyway, next step. Back to the cutting board here, and we are going to dice 4 delicious and nutritious stalks of celery. And these are going to go into the pot too, which I am only now realizing I can accomplish by just picking the damn things up with my hands and dumping them in, which I cannot believe I was too dumb to think of earlier. Doy. Brilliant, Carrie. So those are going to go into the pot, and then next step we are going to pull our chicken out of the fridge. Oh yes, and make sure that you wash the celery and at least peel the carrots because they both grow in the ground, so they tend to have a lot of dirt on the outside, so yeah, that doesn't make for tasty soup. Anyway, on to the chicken. So, at my local Walmart, I was able to find, oh goodness, a 10-pound bag of chicken leg quarters, and technically there's no requirement for what chicken you're using in the soup. You can use whole chicken, you can use partial chickens like I'm using here, you know, chicken quarters of any kind generally have as long as you get, like, if you're using chicken breast, make sure that it has some of the, make sure that it has the ribs attached because that's where a lot of the chickeny flavor is. And I do use whole chickens a lot, but in this case I am just using chicken quarters because whole chickens cost $1.19 a pound. This entire 10-pound bag of chicken quarters was 69 cents a pound. So go figure, I'm a cheap bitch. So anyway, I'm going to put about 5 pounds of chicken in there. Again, take your pick. And that is going to serve as the base for our flavors, which I will talk about next. Okay, so now we have the chicken and all the lovely veggies here resting in the pot, ready to go. And I have my secret spice blend, which I will show you piece by piece. And for chicken soup, I actually like using the dark meat just because it is a bit more fat than the white meat, which is good for paleo cooking. I know it's bad on a lot of diets, but on my diet it's good because Fat means it fills you up, which means that you are less hungry for nasty, diet-destroying carbs. So let's go ahead and talk about my spice blend that I use for chicken soup. And this is not an exact recipe. This is just something that I came up with through trial and error. So, recipe. I am going to add some kosher salt, about 1/8 of a cup or so. It's not an exact amount. I'm just using that for demonstration purposes. And there's a particular spice blend that I like to use whenever I make chicken. And that spice blend is 3 things. Number 1, garlic powder. Not too much of that. That's a pretty strong flavor. Number 2, cilantro. Goes well with any chicken dish. I am just going to sprinkle some of that on. Just a light amount. Parsley is the main herb that we're going to use, so I don't want to overload it. And you can use chicken broth if you like, but in this case I am just going to use seasoned salt to add a little bit of a nice salty, pungent kick. Again, not too much, just enough for a light coating in there. You can always add salt later, so I'm just going to go easy on the salt for now, and then as it's cooking I will actually taste it and see if I need to adjust anything. Now, here's our backbone herb, parsley. Lots of it. That one we definitely want a lot of. I'm putting probably a couple tablespoons. Okay, maybe not that much, but yeah, at least a tablespoon, tablespoon and a half. Again, I haven't exactly measured any of this. It's just trial and error. To that, these are my secret spices. These are the things which generally not many other people use, but I like using them because they add a bit of an extra zing to the soup. Black pepper, not too much. That is definitely a strong flavor, so just a bit. Red pepper flakes, definitely be easy on this. You really only want maybe 1/4 of a teaspoon. That a little bit will go a long way with that. My mom's secret ingredient for chicken soup, poultry seasoning, which is a combination of thyme, sage, marjoram, rosemary, black pepper, and nutmeg. And that gives kind of a little bit of a bite to it. And my thing's gummed up. Yeah. This will give it a really nice aromatic herby flavor. I love it. And finally, this is one that probably not only a lot of people will use for a traditional chicken soup, but curry powder. A little dash will do ya. Again, just to give it a little extra spice. And that is my magic seasoning blend. And so next up, we are going to fill this up with water, and I'm going to have to clean out the sink because my sink is a disaster. Sorry I had to see that. Ah! I know. Okay, before we fill it up with water, I forgot something. Onion powder. There is already onion in the soup, but onion is kind of the base flavor of chicken soup, so I definitely like adding at least a couple of teaspoons of that. Well, okay, maybe not. See, again, I haven't measured it. I just put like maybe about 2 or 3 times as much onion powder as garlic powder. I just kind of do it by proportions. Whatever, you get the idea. Okay, time to go back to Okay, so now that we have that mess out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and add the water to this soup. Make sure you use cold water, and technically it's better if you use filtered water because it tastes better. You don't get the chlorine flavor, but Toledo's tap water tastes somewhat decent, so whatever. I'm more or less okay with it. And I'm going to squish the chicken down into there, making sure that it is in as small of a space as possible. I will wash the raw chicken juice off my hands in a moment. And basically you just want to put in enough water so that the chicken is covered by about 1 inch. Just to make sure there's not a lot of wiggle room in there. Basically, the less water you put in, the more flavor you'll get, but you still want to make sure that you keep the chicken completely covered. That'll do. And again, you have to use cold water because if you use warm water, it would start to cook, and we do not want it to cook yet. We basically want it to, cold water, what it does is that it allows the flavors of the chicken to come out of the bones, where if you immediately started cooking it, you would lock up those flavors, and you would never get that extra flavor compound, which we do not want. So I'm going to set my burner to almost high, not completely high. I'm using a non-stick pan, so I don't want it like completely boiling hot. And let's lug this bad boy over to the stove. lovely sound. Alrighty, then I'm just going to slap a lid on it, and we're going to wait for this pot to boil. I'm not going to watch it because the watching pot never boils, as you know. I'll be back I'll check on it in about 10 to 15. Hi, welcome back. And it has now been 20 minutes. I underestimated it a bit. But as you can see, we now have a lovely pot of soup bubbling and boiling away. So one last step before I toss a lid on this and start working on it. I'm just going to skim some of this foamy scum off the top. That is just basically nasty chicken particles. And there's quite a bit of it because this is a lower quality chicken. I'm sure if you use like an organic free-range chicken or something that there'd be less chicken scum to skim, but, well, in this case we get to be professional scum skimmers. Yeah, make sure that you don't get one of those scam scum skimmers. Sorry, stupid humor. I should have warned you about that before this started. This doesn't come across in my videos a lot, but I do really have a stupid sense of humor. Okay, that's starting to boil too much, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it down to low. And that is where it's going to stay. A little bit more scum to skim. Scum, 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 scum. Okay. Another couple spoonfuls and I will call it quits. Alrighty, I think that's about as clean as I'm going to get it. There we have our lovely pot of soup bubbling away with all those lovely herbs and spices right there on top, which is perfectly fine for me because I like a nice herby, delicious soup with lots of flavor in it. If you didn't figure that out by just how much stuff I put in it, like, seriously, I would not put curry powder and red pepper and poultry seasoning into it if I didn't like a bold soup. But in any case, there we go. That took me all of, what, 10, 15 minutes of active prep, and that's why I like this recipe. It's so easy. And there we go. There's our pot of soup. We will just set a timer and come back in 2 hours and adjust the seasonings, and then we just have to pull the chicken off the bones, and we're done. Ta-da! We shall return then. Hey, good morning, everybody. It is now the next day, and I did actually record an ending segment last night, but while I was pulling the chicken off the stove, I hit my camera by mistake, and apparently it actually erased the file and made it unreadable. So, whatever. Chalk this first edition of the show up as a minor failure. There we go. There's our soup there in the fridge. I'll pull it out and I'll at least talk about how to finish this. Oh, goodness. Oh, gosh. Okay. So, oops, I got some splatter on the camera. Well, let's fix that. Okay. Anyway, here is our finished soup. And as you can see in this case, the chicken inside, let me get my tongs. The chicken inside I just left whole. There we go. Because I was too lazy last night to pluck it off the bones. Usually what will happen is once the 2 hours are over, I will actually do this while it's still warm. Take chicken pieces out. And I'll just pluck the skin and the bones off of it. And the ideal doneness that you want to get the soup to is the point where the chicken is kind of falling apart, but still retains its shape and is still tender and not overcooked. Yes, calling it not overcooked is going to help so much. Hooray for vagueness. Now, again, you want it to the point where it's almost falling off the bone, but will still retain its shape when you pick it out like this. I think I've got 4 or 5 pieces in here. Wish you could have smell-o-vision, because nothing stinks up the kitchen quite like a delicious homemade chicken soup. My entire apartment smells like delicious herby chicken. Goodness. Okay, so there's all the chicken. We've got our broth here. I'm kind of surprised how few veggies I got. That's kind of a bummer. So basically, with the broth, the way that I dealt with cooling it down, this is admittedly kind of cheating. Basically last night again. Usually what I will do with the chicken is I will pull the chicken out, shred it, and then dump it back in the pot. And usually by the time I dump the chicken back in the pot, the broth has had about 20 minutes to cool off. So it's pretty much ready to go in the fridge. But last night again, I kind of messed up the temperature. It didn't boil the first time, so I had to adjust it. Like, I just moved here, so I'm still getting used to the stove temperatures. Apparently low was so low that nothing can happen, so I had to turn it up and wait another 2 hours, so I didn't go to bed until like 6:30 in the morning yesterday. So yeah, basically all I did was dump a bunch of ice cubes in here to cool it off quickly and throw it in the fridge and said I'll finish it in the morning, and that's what I'm doing now. So all I'm going to do is shred the chicken, put the chicken back in, throw the bones out, and then we'll have soup, and we're done. Woo! Okay, that was episode 1, and yeah, so I shall return at a later date to actually, like, cook some other stuff that you probably haven't heard about. I mean, this is a common recipe, but again, I like this soup recipe because it's nice and herby and flavorful, and one of the reasons why I make it so herby and flavorful is so that if worse comes to worse, I can just dump ice cubes in it and it won't kill the flavor. You know, that's one of the problems with using ice cubes is that it can dilute it, but because I use so much flavor and because I purposely tried to pack the chicken way down in there to get the most chicken flavor out of it with the least amount of liquid, I can just dump ice in it and call it done, which is helpful because I am lazy. So yeah, chicken soup, yum. Okay, thanks for watching. This has been Paleo Cooking with Carrie. Cue snooty French music or something. Okay, whatever. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching. Coming back next time. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.